What is going on, everybody? What is going on? As always, it's your boy Shilnai, and today I'm really excited to have the founder of 0Chain on the podcast or on the stream today. So welcome. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Nye. Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be here and talk about 0Chain. We're doing a lot of exciting things. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
excited
it's
to
cool
talk
to be
about it
here.
as well. You're a relatively new project to the space, but you're also one of the more promising projects that I've come across and I've been following for quite a long time. So I'm excited to get you on the podcast here and on the chat. And let's just start off with like, what is 0Chain for the beginner who has never heard of you before? Like, how would you explain it to someone?
Sure. So we're the world's fastest blockchain today. We started out focusing toward the enterprise market. Enterprise market requires faster finality. So our blockchain is fast, and it requires also being scalable. So our blockchain is fast and flexible. By flexible, we mean you can self-fork from our main chain and have multiple chains and be able to interact with these chains. So have horizontal and vertical scalability of the blockchain so that it's infinitely scalable, and have fast finality. Those were the two things that we imposed on our design constraint, and we started from scratch. And the third thing we looked into is to disrupt the token economics. And we made the token economics such that the transaction is free. So it's great for the crypto world because now you can have transactions between two entities at essentially a free cost, because all you have to do is hold tokens, and at sub-second finality. So something that you can get today. And it's scalable, so you don't have to wait for the next block to put your transaction in. So that's what we are about in terms of fast, free, and flexible. And we are also innovating on the wallet side, where we're adding security to a software wallet, which doesn't exist today. And that's why most of the software wallets are getting hacked.
Interesting.
So that's, in a nutshell, who we are and what we're building.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So you pretty much just answered my second question about like what makes you guys special, which is good. Can we dive in and break this down a little bit? So first off, you have no transaction fees. That's completely unique. And as of right now, it seems like you're the fastest blockchain that is built. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, we are the ones that have a sub-second fidelity, and um, there are different ways you can look at it. There is transactions, how many transactions you put in a block, and how long does it take the block to be finalized, and then how long does it take the transaction to be finalized, and then there is a steady state finality, which is how many seconds between blocks do you have to wait. So in our case, it's less than a second, and this is all configurable. So depending on the chain that you want to build, you can configure that and make it even lower, or it doesn't matter depending on what kind of chain you're building. You might your payload may be a lot higher, so your finality may go beyond a second. But the idea is to basically have a infrastructure, have a platform that will enable you to get that kind of speed.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So as of right now, I read that your testnet has processed over 2 billion transactions with sub-second finality. Is there anything that even compares to that? I mean, I haven't heard of anything even close to that, to be honest with you.
And absolutely not. I mean, there is nothing out there that has. So that's why we call it like DevNet. This is essentially production code that we have built, because it's been chugging along. 2.5 billion transactions, which is basically close to like 3 years of what Ethereum would have done at full capacity. Having that kind of transactions within 3 weeks is just phenomenal. And we're doing it at sub-second finality speed. So that's never been done before. That's not done in any of the chains that you see in in the top 100 cryptocurrencies. So what we're building, and this is again I want to emphasize, is what we're building is a combination of a bunch of other projects that are doing. If you look at IOTA, right? If you look at Filecoin, if you look at Definity, 0Chain, Icon, Ledger, Binance, all of those projects, if you combine them, those are the things that we are addressing with our infrastructure, with our platform. So all of those could be combined in our application.
Wow. Wow. That's a huge statement. That's awesome. So I guess the next point I want to touch on is on your website, like you're talking a lot about you're specifically an enterprise blockchain. First off, what does that mean to be an enterprise blockchain?
Right. So, but we always said from day one that we are enterprise grade blockchain, because what we wanted to address is the problems that we faced, at the enterprise level. And I'm not sure why people would be surprised, because if you're following us from early as an early buyer, you would know that we are focusing on that. And our token is tied to data, unlike other cryptocurrencies, which is revolutionary, right? We are the only token that is utility and it is tied to data. And that gives you intrinsic value of the token. So you have basically the data value plus the usage of the token value. So initially we focused on dApps because we thought they would move faster, but then, two things changed. Enterprises are more aware of blockchain now than a year ago, and we don't want to miss that market. I'm talking about the traditional enterprises. And the dApps may not have enough capital to operate their business, so and they don't have that much data to store. So enterprises have a lot more data. So right now, going after them would be faster than getting more data on our chain than, let's say, dApps. And it works both ways. If a dApp has, obviously, it will entertain any dApp that will buy our tokens to store data on our blockchain or buy our blockchain. So I think those two are complementary. So it's not like we started going after enterprises just from day one. It was difficult to go to enterprise because they didn't understand blockchain enough. But now, a year later, they have a lot more awareness of blockchain and the benefits of it. And so we're, that's why we're shifting focus and talking to them a lot more. And they have capital to spend. So they would rather, there's no reason why they shouldn't put their data on our blockchain.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, you just touched a little bit on like what the utility of your token is. Can we dive into that a little bit more? Because like I just heard you mention like you have an actual utility for your token, and that's different from pretty much every other project or blockchain project out there right now. So like, what is the utility of your token, and like what value does that utility or what value does that bring to long-term holders of your token?
Right. So there are, when we looked at the tokens of all the cryptocurrencies, as you're right, they're not tied together. They're not tied to anything, any asset, any physical asset or digital asset. So what we wanted to do was not only have the usage or built into the utility of the token, but also have something else. And as you mentioned, we are the first ones to have data tied to the value of the token. So think of it as an enterprise value. Like if you look at a stock of a company, the stock of a company tells you, what the value of the company would be in the future in terms of how many people will be using their products or services and so forth. Price value, which is tied to how much cash flow they are having. So in a similar fashion, it's not the same analogy, but in a similar fashion, you can tie our token value to the amount of data that we're going to be storing. And that's the concept behind having those two utilities. So the first utility is, for the token to transact in a, sorry, hang on.
No, you're okay.
So to transact in a fast, free, and secure way, right? That's one utility. And the second utility is for our token to store data. So it's usage plus the intrinsic value of data is the utility of our token.
And like, what kind of data is your token going to be storing?
So this data, so there are two ways you can store data. One is if you look at what we'll do is we'll come up with our version of our DevNet. We're gonna restart the servers with our new version of our DevNet, which will kind of showcase what data you can put on the blockchain today. So you don't have to store data on the blobbers. You could also store data on the chain because our sharders are scalable. So that allows basically for you guys to put like IoT data. You can put like bank transaction. You can turn any application that you have today and put any payload, any data on the payload. So for instance, if you have accounting, right? If you have Peachtree accounting or SAP accounting system, you can put, for any transaction, you can put that transaction payload data as a payload on our blockchain. And that will be exemplified when we have the DevNet, the new version of the DevNet come out either today or tomorrow. You could put your chat messages. So for instance, when banks do transactions, they chat between two entities. You can put those chat conversations on the blockchain as data via payload mechanism. So data can be on the blockchain depending on the size of the data. And again, it's configurable. So if you want to self-fork and have a high data payload, you can even put images on the blockchain if you want, but that's kind of excessive. But any structured data you can put on the blockchain. Any unstructured data, very large data like videos, audio files, and large images, you would put in the blobbers.
Awesome, very interesting. So let's get into it in terms of development. So you guys obviously have your testnet out. How are things going? And how far along are you with the rest of the development? And what are the next steps involved?
So we have our testnet out, and we call it now DevNet because it has now production level quality. We will come out with APIs that would allow people to interact with our blockchain. And then we'll have SDKs for select partners that can try out our blockchain within their own server environment. We will have a global DevNet shortly, probably in a few weeks' time. And then what we want to do is probably a month or month and a half or 2 months down the road, we will have the DevNet allowing external miners. That's when anybody can basically join the DevNet and participate in the on the blockchain. And then after that, if all the testing goes fine, then we launch the mainnet. Awesome.
And do you have a roadmap for the mainnet launch, or is that kind of just still like a
process? So our tentative dates is launch by December. At least end of December, we want to launch the mainnet. We want to do some testing. Obviously, our DevNet is showing very good promise, but there are a lot of things that we want to test. In addition to fault tolerance, we want to test Byzantine conditions and so forth. So all of those testing will go on from now till December, in addition to adding other protocols into the mix. So it's writing a code from scratch is not easy. It took Ethereum like 3-4 years. If you look at any other project that wrote a code from scratch, it takes them quite a bit of time. Tezos took, I think, a couple of years. So I think we're going dramatically fast. And we're doing something innovative. It's very difficult to accomplish two things with limited resources in a very short amount of time. But we got a fantastic team, and we're delivering right now at dramatic speed. So you cannot really compare us. I know some of the guys on Telegram compare us with other chains, but most of them are either forking chains and being able to bring it up within like 6 months. That's because they're changing a few lines of code, and then all they're doing is making sure that testing it with different conditions. But we're writing the entire blockchain, the storage protocol. These are all new, and it's very difficult to have a new blockchain with such record time. It's not been done before. So I'm not, I think we're going at record speed. I mean, we barely sleep these days, but we're going at record speed, and we want to deliver the mainnet as early as possible.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. That's super interesting to hear. I love it. I love it. So, to talk a little bit about the investor side, where are you guys located, like in terms of listings and things like that? If someone's listening to this podcast right now and they say, hey, I really like this, I want to be invested in it, and I want to buy some of the tokens, where would they be able to do that?
We're currently on IDEX and Bitfinex. Those are the platforms that we currently have. I know Bitfinex and Bitfinex is not as US friendly, but they listed us without any fees. There are other. I think we are a great project. There's no reason why some of the other platforms shouldn't list us, but it's their decision. And they shouldn't be asking for any fees. If you are a good project, you should be listed. And I feel that it's something that's missing in the crypto world, where they try to leverage their base in terms of asking for fees. If you're a good project in a decentralized world, they should be listing our project on their exchange. So this is something out of our control. We can't really force things, and we're hoping we get listed on other exchanges.
I agree, man. It's definitely something that is a big issue in the crypto world right now. So I'm definitely with you on that. So finally, just kind of to wrap things up, I think this has been extremely informative for myself and my audience, and I'm really excited to learn more about it as I dive deeper in my own research on 0Chain. But can you share a little bit with the listeners, like where can they learn about 0Chain if they want to get some more basic information?
Sure. Well, you can go to 0chain.net. That's our main website. It's the number 0 and then chain, CHAIN.net. And it has links from there to Twitter. You can also, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Medium, Reddit, LinkedIn. We have, all these social media channels where you can learn and follow us and be on events that are happening. In fact, anything new, I usually tweet it out, or either on my channel, on my personal Twitter channel, or on the 0Chain channel. Our admins tweet it out. So if you follow us on Twitter, you're definitely gonna get the news. Also on Facebook and Instagram, we're pretty active.
Awesome.
And we write a lot of articles on Medium. Our CTO recently wrote a couple of very interesting articles on how we have developed a high quality enterprise grade blockchain. To be enterprise grade, by the way, you have to do a lot of QA, quality assurance of your blockchain, because enterprises need, like banks would need, very high quality blockchain. So there are a couple of good articles written by our CTO, Siva Dursala. Please go and have a look. And yeah, and you can follow us definitely on Twitter, and of course on Telegram. We have a huge community, and they're pretty good in discussing the technical part as well as the tokenized part, and how you can mine our blockchain and so forth. So follow us on Telegram, Twitter, and yeah, and we also have a YouTube channel, by the way. So and look at our YouTube. You can look at our Medium and go to our site.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. I love it. I love it. Hey man, thank you so much for taking the time to come on today and talk with me, talk with the audience a little bit about your project. Yeah, this just made me way more excited about it, and I'm definitely going to be spending the next couple of days doing some DD and diving deep into it.
Great, thank you, Naya, for the opportunity to interview me and hear about 0Chain. I'm excited that you will get the word out. I think we're doing really exciting things on the project that very few projects are doing. We're doing a lot of innovative stuff, and the crypto guys should be excited about what we're doing. And so I'm hoping that you get the community energized with your podcast.
Definitely. I think this will definitely catch some interest. So again, man, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to do this. Everybody who's listening, as always, it's your boy Shil Nye. I'm super excited to keep doing this stuff for you guys. For all the links on 0Chain that were shared, they're all going to be in the description below. So just drop down in the description and check those out. And we'll catch you next time.